Enjoy our podcast? Go to surfingthetsunami.com to discover an amazing wisdom and wellness platform designed to take ancient ideas down to street level with practical tools and takeaways delivered by some of the world's greatest thinkers, authors, and innovators. Sync up with a growing community of like-minded people from around the world on a journey to self-awareness, mindfulness, and fulfilling their dreams. The Wisdom Feed Plus membership is a perfect place to take your next steps on your personalized success path to a happier and healthier life. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. Go to surfingthetsunami.com today.
Well, it's like a lot of men, we connect shoulder to shoulder, meaning we're shoulder to shoulder looking out at some task, out at the world, right? Shoulder to shoulder. And that's enlivening for us. You know, we're hunting something external together. Whereas women, and again, nothing's this black and white, but you know, many women, or a more feminine form of connection is face to face, not shoulder to shoulder, but facing each other. Right? That's when we're doing intimacy. We're connecting. There's love. What the focus is on the flow of love and energy between us in the feminine form of connection, whereas in the more masculine form of connection, which men tend to prefer.
Welcome back to the StreetSmart Wisdom Podcast. I am Steve Stein, the founder of Better Listen and Wisdom Feed Plus. For 4 decades, my mission has been to find and publish the most inspirational and evidence-based thinkers in the world. We've sold more than 1 million downloads of wellness audiobooks over the years, so you can rest assured if it is on the StreetSmart Wisdom Podcast or Wisdom Feed Plus, it is legit and carefully vetted. Welcome. My name is Steve Stein, and I'm the host of the StreetSmart Wisdom Podcast. And today we have a special segment with Bryan Reeves. We're going to talk about his latest book, Choose Her Every Day or Leave Her, a guide for your journey through the transformational fires of love and intimacy. Welcome, Bryan.
What's up, Steve? Good to see you, man. Good to be here.
All right. So you tell us a little bit about your background. It's compelling. It's interesting. Then we'll talk about the book a little bit.
Yeah. So my background. So I'm currently right now a 50 years exquisitely aged man. I was a captain in the Air Force back in my 20s. I have an engineering degree, undergraduate, and master's degree in human relations. I grew up with 2 moms and 3 sisters. You know, my moms were not married to each other. They were married to my 2 dads, but it was really my moms that held the world together. And, you know, I share all this because I think it's interesting. It's meaningful that I grew up with women, a healthy respect for women. I am very educated, professionally successful, you know, and by 26, right, all of this was true. And I sucked at relationships. I was a disaster at love. I had no idea what I was doing, despite thinking, if anybody knows how to do this, I do. Steve, I had a master's degree in human relations. Like,
and did that help? Were you able?
It didn't help at all.
Take it out and show it to
my girlfriends. You know, I didn't quite do that, but I definitely tried to, you know, show just how much I knew about relations. Rather than actually do relationship well, I just talked about what I thought I knew it meant to do it well, and it was just one disaster after the other. So, you know, all that to say again that really set me up. You know, life set me up with so much pain and suffering, both inflicted on myself and others, no doubt, in intimate relationship. And, you know, today I'm, you know, fast forward now, I get to, you know, for about the last decade, I've been working with couples as a coach. I've been coaching. I focus on coaching men now, especially with relationship challenges, and yeah, I'm the author of this book, Choose Her Every Day or Leave Her, which is, it's available on all the platforms. I'm actually doing some readings of this on my YouTube channel these days. So anyway, yeah, man, that's the short of it.
Got it. So I guess let's start with the title.
Yeah.
So, or the compelling part is choose her every day or leave her.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That was born of a realization in 2015 when I first started. I was working with couples for maybe a couple years, and I started to see in my clients, this pattern of this struggle in relationship. And it was I was working with a couple, and the I don't think they were married, but I remember, I learned so much through working with people, through clients. And I remember this woman was really struggling with being in her relationship to her partner, her male partner. And I remember hearing her just reflect on, her struggle and wondering, like, am I ever going to be able to choose this guy? Like, I either need to do it, kind of shit or get off the pot kind of thing. And my own light bulb moment happened in that moment when I thought back to at that time, I wasn't with Sylvie, who's my wife now. I wasn't with her yet. I was single at this time. And my mind flashed backwards, actually, to my past relationship that I was in for 5 years. But I wasn't really in it, Steve. I was in and then I was out, and then I was in and then I was out. I was like, my mouth would say I was all in, but my actions, my energy was at least half out and probably more. And so in that moment, holy moly, it just came so clear to me. One of the reasons, not the sole reason, but one of the reasons that relationship was so difficult and painful and chaotic is because I never fully chose that woman. I stayed, the first line of that chapter in the book is, for 5 years, I hurt a good woman by staying with her, but never fully choosing her. Right. So choose her every day or leave her. That chapter asks that question after I kind of talk through what that means. At the very end, I invite the reader into that question. Why are you choosing your partner today? And it's okay if on some days you don't really know, right? I mean, we all have bad days. Every relationship has those, oh, I hate you moments, right? But if we don't know why we're choosing our partner, if we don't have a deep conviction and a clarity, then it's likely that relationship is going to struggle on some level. And so it's really a challenge, really, to both men and women, right? Choose your partner and everything that means, or own that you don't choose them and consider leaving the relationship, or at least being honest about how divided you are.
Wow, that's deep. So I get that. It's like I heard there's an old expression, it's not into out of the water. Either you're in the water or you're out of the water. And if you're in
Right.
between,
Yeah.
you're screwed,
Well, yeah.
And then Tony Robbins talks about being congruous. It's like if you're if you're giving lip service to being in a relationship,
Yeah.
and you're physically there, but your heart's not in it, or you're doing it for fill in the blank, then it's hard. It's hard for it to work.
Right. It's like I've heard it said also, there's no such thing as 99% committed. You're either committed or you're not, which doesn't mean if I'm 100% committed, it doesn't mean I can't change my mind in the future. Right? But that is a very different orientation to say, no, I am all in today. And I am all in for as long as I can be all in, and everything that means. Right? That's different than saying, I'm here today, but no promises. Or I'm here today, but also, you know what? I'm kind of not here because you're you annoy me and I just don't know if I can really accept you. Which is often the subtext. It's not that people
Say that
necessarily
again.
use.
You annoy me.
You annoy me, you irritate me, you frustrate me. You're not exactly what I want, but I'll do my best to put up with you today. I'll do my best to make the best of this.
Boy, that sounds like very familiar. That's
Again,
crazy.
we all have those days, man. There's no judgment. It's just if that's the predominant state you're living in a relationship, what are you doing? What are you doing?
R- Right. And it's like, well, it's easier. I don't want to upset the apple
I
cart.
don't want to be alone.
I don't want to be alone.
I don't want to
There's,
start over.
and,
Yeah,
you know, another mortgage or this or that. It saves
totally.
you money.
Yeah.
S- So that, and then it's amplified if you have kids. And
Oh, totally. Yeah. Fact.
so facts, right. So, but it's like, why, who is this? Was it Pete Rose? I think it was Pete Rose,
The baseball player?
the baseball player. Someone asked him a question. Uh, what percentage of the time when you swing are you expecting to get a hit?
Uh-huh.
And he says, 100% of the time, or else why would I go up to the plate?
Right. Yeah. Right. Right. You're gonna miss 7 out of 10 times, but the why go up to the plate if you don't expect to hit it every time? Yeah, and I think that is an interesting metaphor for relationships. I think it's very appropriate too because I'm as I really focus on working with men. A lot of men. I know women have this too, but a lot of men have a perfectionist mindset when it comes to relationships. Like I can't make any mistakes. The relationship has to be perfect in every way. Like the woman, has to just be easy, not argumentative, not, she's got to feed my desires. I mean, we're all a little bit narcissistic, is what I'm saying. And I think that when men really learn that actually we get to make a lot of mistakes, it's okay. It's okay that we make mistakes. It's okay that we don't do everything perfect so that she's always happy. Right? A lot of men, especially, we value, we place our value on our partner's mood. If she's happy, then that must mean I'm doing good. If she's not happy, that must mean I'm doing something bad. Right? And what's coming up for you?
It's a yo-yo. It's like, you and you can, it's interesting because in a relationship, there's two individuals, but there's also the third entity, the
Right.
actual relationship.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
and the difference between 99% and 100% is 100%. So if you have the back door open a little bit,
Right.
and because she has the back door open a little bit, or I'll never make her happy, it's or this or that. It's like it's easy, especially over time, to like, well, why even bother? Let's just get through another day. And
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. That's a I don't know if dangerous, but it's a very sad place to live. The why even bother?
right.
I think that's what happens. Men, a lot of us, we check out of the relationship because we can't solve all of its problems. We can't, which means we can't do whatever we think we're supposed to do to make her happy now and always. I remember early in my relationship with Sylvie, I told her half jokingly, Steve, half jokingly, if you're just always happy and thrilled, we're gonna be great. Like you just stay happy and thrilled and everything will be fine. I say
Good luck
half
with that.
jokingly, because uh, part of me would really love that. Just be, Stepford wife kind of thing. Just be happy and thrilled. Oh, takes the burden off of me to do anything. But uh, I know that that's both a futile pursuit it's not it's no human is ever going to be happy and thrilled all the time. And by the way, as soon as I said that to her, Steve, what do you think her reaction was?
Probably didn't make her happy.
She was not happy and thrilled. Right. Did the opposite. You know, it made her growl and look at me a certain way that warned me off of the approach I was taking.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, that Pete Rose analogy, you know, look, I show up every day expecting to get it right with my wife, to do all the right things, to be a man that she's always proud of and happy with and thrilled with and all of that. And man, I get it wrong a lot. You know,
Now, is it like dual? Does it even make a difference what she does? Like if you feel it's not reciprocated, or you both kind of,
well, yeah, sure.
or is
So
it irrelevant? Because I think people pick up on your frequency, and if you have a 1 foot checked out or 1 foot out the door vibe, then no one's going to feel safe there.
you know, so there's this popular idea of relationships being 50-50, right? Each of you do your 50%. And I don't subscribe to that. I actually subscribe to a different paradigm, which is what I call the 100-100 model of relationship. Like I have 100% responsibility for the success or failure of this relationship. And by the way, so does my wife. She also has 100% responsibility, right? And my work is to do my 100%, right? To explore, where am I getting in the way of love? Where is my cynicism or my arrogance or my withdrawal, et cetera, my stressful stories, you know, what is my role in whatever breakdown we're having? And that was, I think, the big revelation of choose her every day or leave her. I spent so much of that time blaming my girlfriend for why the relationship wasn't working. And I took no responsibility for the fact that she could feel my withdrawal. She could feel my hesitation. I mean, she could feel it. She could sense it. And I never articulated it I did in subtle ways. I remember once we went looking for an apartment to live together, and we'd been together maybe a year and a half. And I remember the real estate agent, you know, was showing us around this apartment and had an event space outdoors. And she says, you know, if you guys ever want to get married, you know, this would be a great space to hold your wedding. And I made some comment like, I don't remember what I said, but the comment was something like, you know, fat chance.
Right.
Thinking that was okay for some reason, not realizing that would have any impact on her. Like, how could that not have an impact on her? I mean, I look back, I was probably 27 at the time. I look back at that foolish young man. I know now how devastating that probably was to her on some level. But neither one of us had the language to articulate it back then, right? And I wouldn't have said it. That means I'm half out. It's like, look, what I would have said is, look, we're only together for a year. I don't know if we'll get married, and I'm not ready to commit to that and blah, blah, blah. But again, you know, in all these countless little ways, she could feel my withdrawal. And I never took ownership of that back then.
Mm-hmm. And does it even matter if it's reciprocated, the all in or the hunt going 100%?
Of course it does. Absolutely. It's, you know, as a man, I write from the perspective of a man. I don't pretend to know what's always in the heart of a woman. I mean, I've definitely learned some things, and I've got some insight into what's going on in the heart of a woman, but I'm not a woman. But what I do know is that as a man, if my partner isn't also all in on me, that's not gonna work for me. You know, if my partner is struggling to decide, you know, I'm working with a man right now whose partner, they've been friends for many years, and only in the last maybe 6 months have they started actually dating. And she keeps giving him this message that I need you to be different, right? I need you to be stronger. I need you to be, first it was more emotional. right? And then when he started showing more emotion, she said, I need you to be less emotional. You're too emotional. I don't feel safe now. You're more emotional than me. And like, anyway, she's running him ragged and all of these, I need you to be this ways and that ways. And that moving target is essentially another way of communicating. I'm actually not all in on you. It's like, I'll be all in on you if XYZ happens. That's not 100% committed. That's, at best 99% committed, and it's probably more like 49% committed.
I'll love you if.
I'll love you if, right? I'll accept you if. I'll embrace you if, right? And we people in the spiritual mindfulness community, we can also be really clever with our language. In other words, it can sound like I'm owning my part, right? I just don't feel safe with you. If you were stronger, then I would feel safe. It's not you. It's me. It's I don't feel safe, or it's just I don't feel connected. Because you XYZ. It's like we the ego is clever, and we find all these clever ways to blame our partners.
It's putting up a wall. It's a clever ways to be opaque and just stop the energy. So
right.
Yeah, so we did this course a year ago with this woman, Sally Kempton. And she was an iconic thinker. She a tantric yoga, but she was a writer, wrote for the New Yorker when she was young and all this. But we did this course on karma. And I'm not sure exactly what it is, but one of the big takeaways from that course with her was that, yes, there's karma. You fucked up, you've been great, you've been Mother Teresa, you've been the devil, whatever you've done in your life, you have baggage. But there's always the choice in this moment to change the rotation of that karma. And it's not a closed, it's not a closed prophecy, or it's not, the answer is not written. So it's a back and forth, but you gotta, takes two to tango, but that kind of makes it light. But it does, I think there's an all-in component of it, but there's also especially over time, you're in a relationship, you got all this baggage, and it's just natural. Someone does something and it triggers the response that you've done, and and you need to be mindful to kind of break some cycles. But I'm not sure exactly how that's relevant. But
well, what I hear in that, Steve, actually is like karma. In my book, I write about this, like an apology is a great karma corrector, or karma fixer, if you will. A great apology, repair. So many couples, to your point, over time, there's so much baggage and hurt, and it's really unrepaired hurt that's accumulated. My wife and I, we've been together 9 years now, and we've hurt each other in all kinds of ways over 9 years, but we've gotten really good at apologizing. And owning, and that's what I mean by owning our part, being able to see our 100%, my 100%, she can see her 100%. And when we can speak to that, if we don't know how to speak to that, if we don't know how to own that and apologize and make a repair, a genuine repair, then it just accumulates until over time we're either, we grow so distant from each other, or we're either filled with conflict or stagnation. And ultimately the correction that comes is either through a divorce or an affair or some collapse of that structure that gets built. That's accumulated karma that when we learn how to just make repairs in the moment, to say I'm sorry, not I'm sorry, but, or not I'm sorry, with the sort of I'm sorry, but fuck you, kind of attitude to it. But no, genuinely, you know what? I see what I did there. Wow, I'm so sorry. That was not okay. I'm so sorry. Like the karma, like you said it, like that woman, she like that shifts the karmic pattern immediately, and you get to stay clean with each other.
That's so interesting. And it's like an apology, not a phoned in apology. It's
Right.
so easy to say, I'm sorry. And you could
Right.
say those words, but you can almost hear the but that's unspoken.
You're not checking off a box. If it's the box, oh, okay, I have to do this thing, it's a task. Say I'm sorry. Okay, fine. I'm sorry. That's not what we're talking about. No, it's the genuine reconciliation, the confronting of what was my part in this. Owning it, speaking to it. I can still have compassion for why I acted that way or did the thing. I mean, I don't have to condemn myself. I mean, again, this is what I meant earlier, but we get to make mistakes. Like baseball players, like if they hit the ball, if the bat hits the ball 3 times out of 10, that's a really good batter. Right? Well, I'd say the same for relationship, and the standards are probably even lower. If I hit the right chord with my wife even 2 times out of 10, I'm doing pretty good. A lot of men are never hitting that chord well, and wives in reverse, by the way. I mean, so many people don't know how to really talk to their own partners in ways that help soothe the nervous system, help them feel safe emotionally, not just physically, but also emotionally and intellectually. We don't know how to do that for each other.
And that's one of the things we did this anger masterclass with our mutual friend John Lee, and he talks
Yeah.
about you don't want to have a serious conversation when you're too tired, because when
Right. Yeah.
there are certain
Yeah.
things that are just a recipe for not having a
Right.
successful communication.
Also driving. Don't do it while you're driving because you aren't facing each other. You're shoulder to shoulder looking out. One of you is, probably both of you really, is vigilant. Half of your brain is going to making sure you don't die in that moment. Not a good time to have a difficult conversation. Yeah.
So interesting. So I've read we'll just stay with this topic for the next few minutes, but
Okay.
uh I read in one of your blog posts, maybe it's an excerpt from the book,
Mm.
about you talk about the importance of leaving not a love note, but like a nice little post-it note, unexpected, that is like a connection
Mm.
kind of thing. And is that a thing, or is that just one?
Well, what I'm pointing at there, and I'm not sure where I may have just given that as an example of something that I call connection rituals. Connection rituals. Connection rituals are really daily practices that are intended to create connection with my partner. That's the only intention, to create connection. They're not productive, meaning it's not about getting something done. Me and my partner sitting on the couch talking about our finances, it's not a connection ritual. Or talking about what problem we need to solve that
It's,
involves the children.
honey, the gas bill is $42.50, not foreplay.
Not at maybe for some men that might be. If that's a low bill, that could turn on.
Low
My
bill,
dad, my
actually, yeah,
yeah,
let's go.
yeah, my dad's a little rain man when it comes to that stuff. Every time I drive with my dad, he's always speaking the gas prices as we pass a gas station. Oh, unleaded is $4.32. Interesting. Oh, just that gas station just a mile ago, it was $4.31. Like he's like Rain Man, just under his breath muttering the gas
Right,
prices. So that
right.
might turn him on, but for the most part, not foreplay.
Not
Um,
connection ritual.
so connection rituals are they're when done well, they are daily practices. My wife and I, for example, our connection ritual that we do every day is in the morning, first thing when we're both awake, we hug. Intentionally hug. If I'm at my desk and she is, she comes to my door, if I'm not in a meeting, I will stop what I'm doing, get up and go and hug her, like our bodies face to face for a good 4 or 5 seconds. That's it. That's a connection ritual. It's not a pat on the back hug or a side hug, bro hug. It's a facing forward,
Not a fist bump.
not a fist bump. That's not a connection ritual, not for us. For some couples that might be, But that's really most of us are doing connection rituals at the beginning of relationships. You're calling, you're talking every day, you're checking in with each other, you're making love consistently, at least weekly. You're going out on dates. But as time goes by, those rituals start to fade. And
Who
maybe
has
we do
time for those frivolous things?
just life. Right. We're into life. We're into the busyness of life. Hey, okay, we're secure. We're with each other. I mean, we're good. We're good. What else? Especially, men, especially, we tend to then, what are the other problems that I need to solve in my life? Let me focus on those.
Right. And, we did this thing years ago with Robert Bly and Deborah
Mm,
Tannen,
mm,
you know, and,
mm.
and, you know, women want to connect emotionally and
Mm.
guys want to get shit done.
Yeah, we want to do.
I want to do stuff, not
Yeah.
want to feel. So it's
Yeah.
like, so that's some way to kind of a connection ritual where you actually connect.
Well, it's like a lot of men, we connect shoulder to shoulder, meaning we're shoulder to shoulder looking out at some task, out at the world, right? Shoulder to shoulder. And that's enlivening for us. We're hunting something external together. Whereas women, and again, nothing's this black and white, but many women, or a more feminine form of connection, is face to face, not shoulder to shoulder, but facing each other, right? That's when we're doing intimacy. We're connecting. There's love. What the focus is on the flow of love and energy between us in the feminine form of connection, whereas in the more masculine form of connection, which men tend to prefer, we're not focused on the flow of love between us. We're focused on the task that we're both engaged in trying to figure out, to accomplish, right? And that's enlivening. And what a lot of men do, I went for a couple of years back. Sylvie and I were going for a walk in our neighborhood, and I was feeling just a little bored with life, and we're going on this walk on this path, and I was like, all right, you see that tree down there? I'll race you. Right? We're going to do something. We're going to challenge, like a challenge, a little
Right.
competition,
Okay.
a little shoulder to shoulder. Who gets to that tree the fastest? She looked at me like I had three heads. Like, why would I do that? I don't want to race you. I just want to hold your hand and walk with you. It's like, again, that part of me that comes alive in that shoulder to shoulder. So many of us men, we do that. We try to pull our partners into a doing, and our capacity to just sit and be face to face is often, it's limited for a lot of men, especially. Not always, and sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's more limited for women. They struggle more with that intimate face to face and would rather be more in the doing. So I don't mean to gender it. It's definitely something that can, anyone might resonate with one side or the other.
Got it. So back to the title of the book, I would say, so choose her every day or leave her, a guide for your journey through the transformational fires of love and intimacy.
Yeah.
I think we've covered some of those, and I would say, or leave her is a commitment part of it.
Well, it's the responsibility part of it. If I'm not all in on this, first off, I have to reconcile with that. I have to confront that. Okay, I'm not all in on this. I am not choosing this person every day. When I first wrote this, so this book was born of an article I wrote in 2015 by that title, Choose Her Every Day or Leave Her. And that article alone was read by 30 million plus people. I mean, it was like, I felt like I owned Facebook for a day. When that came out, I mean, 1 million people a day were visiting my website, Steve.
Amazing.
Reading.
That's incredible.
I mean, I was getting people from I hadn't talked to in years were messaging me saying, yo, a friend of mine in New York came up to me today and showed me this article. And I was like, oh my God, that's my friend Brian.
Now, did people actually end relationships, or was it also,
Absolutely.
or was it a wake-up call to go all in, or both?
Both. You ever heard of the Miracle Morning, Hal Elrod?
Uh-huh.
Well, he credits that article with saving his marriage. Right? Publicly credits that article. It's even in his latest Miracle Morning book, recommends this book, Choose Her Every Day or Leave Her, because it saved his marriage, that article. I had other people who actually realized it was time to end their relationship because they weren't choosing their partner and they weren't going to. Right. And I think having that clarity, and look, it's okay to be in a relationship and not be sure if I want to stay or go. That's okay. What I'm simply advocating for is the honesty, is the transparency of where we're at, because it was torture for me and my girlfriend at the time because I wasn't clear about it. I was saying, I was trying to choose her, but I wasn't. And that was so painful for both of us, really, in the end, that I didn't have the words for it at the time. And I think that's the gift of that message, is it's like, it just gives language to something. I think the reason that article alone was so popular, it like touched a nerve worldwide. It touched a nerve, that language, because I think so many women especially felt unchosen by their husbands and boyfriends. But I also know, even in I worked with a woman who she was, a same-sex relationship. She realized she wasn't choosing her female partner and ended the relationship. I mean, she became a client of mine for a while after that blog. So, I think it just articulated something that so many people were intimately and painfully familiar with already.
Wow, this has been fascinating. How can people find out more about you and your work?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. My website, it's Bryan with a Y, Bryan, Reeves, Reeves.com. I mean, that's really where all of my blogs, my books. I have another book as well, but also on Amazon. That book, Choose Her Every Day or Leave Her. It's on Amazon, Audible, even on Spotify. If you're a Spotify listener, I think they give you 15 hours of audiobook listening a month, so it's there as well. And yeah, I'm on all the socials, all the places, all the internets.
Excellent. Any final thoughts on the subject?
I think it's just really important that we give ourselves grace when it comes to relationships. Nothing prepares us to do intimate relationships well. Most of us are actually prepared to do them poorly by our upbringing, by society. So, I like to make a lot of room for the mess of intimacy and relationship. And I think, this book, Choose Her Every Day or Leave Her, I think it's my hope that for both men and women, the feedback I get from women is that it's incredibly validating, that book. And from men, it's challenging, but in the ways that men really, really want to be challenged, right? To either show up for a relationship or don't. But if you aren't, then leave, and that's okay.
Wow. That's clear. I love clear thinking and useful and relevant. So
Thanks, Steve.
Bryan, that was great. And my name is Steve Stein. I'm the host of the StreetSmart Wisdom Podcast. And this is the end of an incredible session with Bryan Reeves. Thanks so much, Bryan.
Thank you, Steve.
If you like the StreetSmart Wisdom Podcast, we invite you to become a Wisdom Feed Plus member. You'll have direct and on-demand access to some of the most compelling and relevant thinkers in the world. And it's all highly curated and designed to help you be your best you. Change your mind, change your life. If you're like the rest of us in this insane world filled with stress and uncertainty, Wisdom Feed Plus can help you smile more and stress less. That's exactly why our team has created Wisdom Feed Plus, a wonderful community of inspired individuals in search of health, wellness, and a life of abundance. When you become a member, you don't just get access to a broad array of meditations, yoga, qigong, and live events. You become part of an inner movement and a growing community of like-minded people along the Wisdom Feed Plus success path. Your personalized journey to a peaceful and satisfied life. Go to surfingthetsunami.com to get started.